I had always been a quiet man. At 52, I had learned to keep my thoughts to myself, letting the world think what it wanted about me. People rarely saw the storm that brewed beneath my calm exterior, and I preferred it that way. But sometimes, life gives you a moment that demands you step out of the shadows. That night at my wife's work party, I stepped forward, not as the man they thought they knew, but as someone they would never forget. It started innocuously enough. My wife, Lauren, had been working at the firm for nearly 10 years, rising steadily through the ranks. She was respected, even admired, by her colleagues, and I had always been proud of her accomplishments. I had been invited to the annual company party as her +1, a tradition I had avoided for years. Social gatherings had never been my forte. But Lauren insisted. "You'll enjoy it, Richard. Just relax," she said, her eyes gleaming with that mix of excitement and affection that I had known for decades. "Everyone will want to meet you. You've been with me through everything, it's time they know you." I had shrugged and promised her I would go, silently dreading the crowded ballroom, the forced smiles, and the endless small talk. The venue was a grand hotel ballroom, glimmering with crystal chandeliers and golden accents. Men in tailored suits mingled with women in elegant dresses, the chatter of ambition and rivalry filling the air. I walked in beside Lauren, offering polite smiles, shaking hands, nodding along to introductions. Yet beneath my composed exterior, I observed everything, the nuances of posture, the subtle smirks, the hierarchy written across every handshake. And then, I saw him. Her boss, Gregory Harwood. A man whose reputation preceded him. He had risen to the top of the company through sheer arrogance and manipulation, leaving a trail of resentment behind him. To me, he had always been insufferable, a man who belittled others to inflate his own ego. He spotted Lauren and me across the room and made his way over, his expression unreadable but commanding, the kind of presence that demanded submission. "Ah, Lauren. You've brought your husband," he said, his tone polite but condescending. "Richard, is it?" I nodded. "Yes, Mr. Harwood. Pleasure to meet you." He extended his hand, and I shook it firmly, hiding a flicker of amusement. The name Harwood had a certain weight in the corporate world, but tonight, I had a different plan. Gregory glanced me over with a critical eye, as though sizing me up. "I must admit, I didn't expect someone like you to accompany Lauren. You don't exactly strike me as corporate material." I raised an eyebrow but remained silent, letting the remark hang in the air. I could feel Lauren stiffen beside me, a flicker of embarrassment crossing her face. Harwood smiled smugly, mistaking my silence for agreement with his judgment. "You know, Richard," he continued, leaning slightly closer, "it's impressive that Lauren has achieved so much under my leadership. Not everyone can handle the pressure she faces. I suppose you understand the sacrifices she makes for her career?" I smiled, carefully masking the storm inside me. "Oh, I understand sacrifices," I said calmly. "More than you might imagine." Harwood laughed, a sharp, grating sound. "Good. That's important. A supportive spouse is essential. But tell me, what exactly do you do, Richard? I assume you have some respectable profession?" This was the moment I had been waiting for. I let a small, enigmatic smile creep across my face. "You could say I specialize in taking care of people," I replied, deliberately vague. "I deal with situations most people don't even notice. Until it's too late." Harwood's eyes flickered with confusion, but he shrugged, dismissing it as eccentricity. "Ah, very well. That's intriguing." Little did he know, I wasn't exaggerating. I had spent the past 25 years building a career under layers of secrecy and discretion. I wasn't in finance, law, or medicine, as most would assume. No, my expertise was in something far more delicate. I managed complex situations for high-profile clients, confidential, discreet, and often morally ambiguous. I had seen men like Gregory Harwood crumble under scrutiny before. And tonight, he would be no different. The party continued, filled with laughter, small talk, and clinking glasses. but I had eyes only for Harwood. Every time he turned his back, I made subtle observations: how he interacted with his subordinates, the thinly veiled intimidation, the arrogance masked as charm. I could already see the cracks in his facade, the weaknesses I would exploit. Hours passed. The night grew louder, the music more relentless, the alcohol flowing freely. Harwood had begun to loosen up, his arrogance swelling as he mingled, unaware that his undoing was silently observing from mere steps away. Finally, the moment arrived. Harwood approached the podium to give a toast, his chest puffed with pride. Lauren had introduced me as her husband, a brief acknowledgement that barely registered with him. I had waited patiently. Now, it was time. As he raised his glass, he began to speak about leadership, ambition, and loyalty, weaving a narrative of his own superiority. The room listened attentively, hanging on every word. And then, I interrupted. "Gregory," I said, my voice carrying clearly over the soft background music. The room quieted instantly. All eyes turned to me, and Lauren's hand found mine, gripping it tightly. Harwood blinked, startled. "Yes?" he said, his tone sharp now, a hint of irritation. I stepped forward, letting my presence fill the space. "I couldn't help but overhear your speech. Leadership, ambition, loyalty. You speak of these as if you embody them fully. But I wonder, do you truly understand what it means to lead, or are you merely performing for the applause?" The room shifted uncomfortably. Harwood's smile faltered. "I beg your pardon?" I let a small, deliberate pause hang in the air, watching the crowd lean in. "You see, Mr. Harwood, I specialize in evaluating people like you. People who hide their weaknesses beneath a carefully constructed image. And your image, it's fragile." Gasps echoed through the room. Lauren's eyes were wide, a mixture of fear and astonishment. Harwood's face flushed with indignation. Who are you to speak this way?" I allowed my smile to deepen, revealing the truth in measured words. "You don't know me, Gregory. But you will. Because tonight, the truth about you will become impossible to ignore." At that moment, I triggered a subtle mechanism I had prepared earlier. From my pocket, I pulled out my phone and tapped a few keys. Within seconds, the screens around the ballroom flickered to life. The large projector displayed a series of confidential emails, messages, and recordings, evidence of Harwood's manipulations, his lies, and his betrayal of employees, clients, and investors alike. The room erupted in murmurs, disbelief rippling through the crowd. Harwood's eyes widened in horror as he realized what he was seeing. There was no escape. His carefully curated reputation, built over decades, was crumbling in real time. "Richard. This is impossible," he stammered, his voice trembling. I stepped closer, my voice steady, unyielding. "Not impossible, Gregory. Truthful. Every lie, every manipulation, every betrayal. Right here, for everyone to see. And let me assure you, it took years of preparation to bring it all together. Years of quiet observation, patience, and waiting for the right moment." The room's atmosphere had shifted completely. Former colleagues whispered to each other, some shaking their heads in shock, others exchanging knowing glances. Lauren stood beside me, stunned, yet her pride was evident. She had no idea I had been orchestrating this, but she trusted me implicitly. Harwood's face was pale, his voice barely audible. You can't. This is illegal." I tilted my head, letting the faintest hint of amusement cross my features. "Legal? Perhaps not. Ethical? Depends on your perspective. But necessary? Absolutely. People like you rely on fear, intimidation, and secrecy. And tonight, your reign ends." By now, the party had descended into chaos. Some guests took out their phones, recording the spectacle. Others whispered anxiously among themselves. Harwood's attempts to regain control were futile. Every denial, every excuse, every accusation I had anticipated and prepared for. Finally, I turned to Lauren, taking her hand. "You've worked hard, my love. Don't let anyone diminish your accomplishments. Especially not someone like him." Harwood's shoulders slumped, defeat etched across his features. For the first time, he was exposed, not just as a flawed leader, but as a man whose arrogance had blinded him to the simplest truth: underestimating others is always dangerous. The room's attention shifted fully to him. No one laughed. No one cheered. They simply watched, witnessing the fall of a man who had once towered over them all. And I, Richard, stood beside my wife, calm, collected, and victorious. The party eventually ended. Harwood left, humiliated and speechless. Colleagues approached me, some with gratitude, others with awe, curious about the man who had dared to reveal the truth. Lauren squeezed my hand, her eyes glistening with tears. You did this for me?" she asked softly. I shook my head, smiling. "No, Lauren. I did this because it was time someone reminded the world that arrogance and cruelty always have consequences. But yes, I also did it for you." That night, as we left the ballroom together, I realized something profound. Revenge isn't just about punishment. It's about revelation. About showing the world the truth that others try to hide. About stepping out of the shadows and claiming the power that has always been yours. And in that moment, I, Richard, had done just that.